When I was around 16, I went on a mission trip to Mexico, and it just so happened that one of the tourist shops was selling bullwhips. Naturally, I had to buy one. And as I'm walking around down the street with my new bullwhip, I noticed my best friend was walking in front of me wearing cargo shorts.
No.
A little voice pops into my head saying, bullwhips can't actually hurt you. That's just a piece of corded leather. Well, no better time to test it out than right now.
Absolutely.
So I cracked my whip and ended up splitting my friend's calf wide open. Hey everybody, welcome to Youth Group Chronicles.
Whee!
Dustin
Pew, pew, pew.
Pastor Aaron Stearns. Welcome, guys.
Honestly, we're
appreciate you being here. Let's kick this off with some email submissions. You guys are going to blind react to crazy youth group stories.
I can't wait.
That you have never heard before. Hopefully. Maybe you've heard some of them, but
as long as they're not about goldfish, I'm okay.
I refuse to put more goldfish stories on the podcast.
Good
There's just
for
been too many. I'm like, guys, you can stop sending the goldfish stories now. Fun fact, there is a shirt on our website for sale. It says Save the Goldfish, ygcpodcast.com.
I need that shirt.
All right, this is a story that was emailed in from Destiny H. Before we kick this off, if you have stories that you want to share, ygchronicles@gmail.com is how you can send them to us, and you might just be featured on the show. So Destiny H said, when I was about 15 years old, my dad decided to be a chaperone for a youth group trip. My mom had packed his clothes, but he didn't look to see what she packed.
Fantastic.
It was a very hot summer, so she packed my dad's shirts, and she packed him some without the sleeves on them. The first morning, my dad comes out of a tent in a cutoff shirt, and everyone immediately stops and stares at my dad and was mortified because my mom had somehow forgotten that my dad had a topless mermaid tattooed on his bicep. And apparently he forgot too, because he walked out of the tent wearing a cutoff sleeve in front of the entire youth group.
That's amazing.
Long story short, he ended up wearing a hoodie for the rest of the week in 100-degree weather.
Man.
Poor dad.
Poor dad.
You know, we all have pasts.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
right, but that's... Honestly, I forget I have tattoos sometimes.
That's fair. I don't have tattoos, so I was like, I feel like that'd be hard to...
No, like this one, I forget I have the one on my back part of my arm, and people like poke my arm and be like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's an arrow. No, but that's... You go, Dad. You know
what's funny is she didn't think to pack like a t-shirt. It was all cutoffs the entire week.
But Dad, pack your own bag.
That'll be the last time she
packs it. Or just go back and get it touched up and like...
Put it...
That's what I was thinking too.
Tattoo a shirt on the mermaid, you know?
Something.
All right.
Or
life advice.
Band-Aid over it. I don't know. A Band-Aid for the week.
Yeah,
That's better than a sweatshirt.
He could have just bandaged it. He would have looked like he got shot and be like, yeah.
Or like one of those sweat wristband things.
There you go.
High on...
Bam.
Yeah. We're here for the life advice, guys.
We're problem solvers on this podcast.
We are.
Send in your problems to ygchronicles@gmail.com and we'll solve all your issues. Just kidding. I'm not Jesus.
This is a story from Jessica Stewart.
Amen.
Jessica said, this is one of my most embarrassing youth ministry stories. I was on a mission trip with other leaders and high school students in a refugee community outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh.
One of the refugee families was from Syria, and they had our entire group over for dinner. Beforehand, I was so nervous I was going to mess up one of their customs and offend them. And while we were eating, I noticed some balloons and party decorations in the corner of the room, and I asked whose birthday it was. The son of the parents was translating, and his accent was pretty heavy, but he went on to say that in his culture they celebrated their birthdays and the day that their parents met. But what I heard was, we celebrate the day our parents mate. Without thinking, I blurted out, wait, you celebrate the day that you were conceived? Not only was I mortified, so mortified that I started crying in front of his family, but the son who was translating also had to translate back to his parents what I had just said, who didn't speak any English. End
Jessica. Love that.
Yikes.
I actually think I have been to that refugee camp.
Have you really?
Yes.
You spent some time in Atlanta, right?
When I lived in Atlanta, I actually think I was at this exact place. So I know the people she's... Like, I don't know the exact family she's talking about, but
that's funny.
So I get it. It's a hard... Yeah.
You know what the worst part that I feel bad is she went in, like, I'm already sweating bullets, thinking that she was going to, like, mess it up.
Then she messed up. It's okay, Jessica. We still love you.
She had like a "you can do it" talk with herself in like the rear view mirror of her car, just like,
you can do it.
Then, you guys celebrate when like they conceived you? That's weird.
Hey, listen. Some people know those dates.
Josue.
Josu?
Josue.
Josue. Josue.
J-O-S. Josh.
It's not Josh. Josue.
Josue.
Josue. All right. One of my most embarrassing youth ministry stories happened when my youth leader.
This kid's gonna be so
asked
pissed
me
we don't
to
know how to
preach.
pronounce his name. Like, we're gonna get hate mail.
I'm sorry
this
for
name.
whoever wrote this in. Josue.
U-E. J-O-S.
No.
Hozu.
Hazu. That might be it. I don't know. I apologize that I don't know your name.
Gosh.
Anyway, one of my most embarrassing youth ministry stories happened when my youth leader asked me to preach. We were studying on 2 Timothy, and when you get to 2 Timothy 1:6, Paul is telling Timothy to fan the flame. Well, I kind of changed the perspective on it a bit, and I turned it into, what can you do with that fire? So I made a huge poster and very excitedly labeled it with that fire. Fast forward,
WTF.
it's the day of service. I put it up on the projector, and in huge white letters with flames at the bottom and a red background, it read, with that fire. Except I didn't realize that it was WTF
Yeah, WTF. That's beautiful.
on the screen. So he must have done, what is that called?
Acronym?
An acronym, yes. Right up there on the screen for everybody to see.
The Googles is saying his name is pronounced Hasway.
Asway? That's a cool name.
Sway, like H-A-A.
Sway.
S-W-A-Y. Yeah.
Asway?
Like this.
Hasway?
Hasway.
Hasway.
That's actually a really cool name.
That makes more sense.
I apologize. I've never ran into that name before.
It is actually... it is Joshua.
Oh, it is Joshua?
Like
in English?
the English translation would be
Wow.
Joshua. So
Okay. Joshua. All right.
cool.
You learn
But,
something new. every day.
Hasway.
You learn something every time I do a
Hasway.
podcast.
Let's not use WTF as acronyms anymore for
So-
the youths.
So this was a poster board?
I don't.
Sound like it was a
I
background.
believe it was a graphic that they threw up on the projector.
It starts out.
Come to my church, WTF.
All right, and we actually have a graphic for this next section.
We're doing a series on WTF.
Same.
This is from Abel Garcia.
Abel Garcia.
Abel said, one night before our youth group left for an event, we decided to spend the night in the church's dormitory. During that time, my youth pastor's house was actually next door to the church, so we were all hanging out over there before we had to go back to the church to sleep for the night. I remember getting bored and deciding to go outside to walk to the church, and while the short distance down the road, I heard the sound of a car speeding towards me, but I didn't see anything. As I kept
Terrifying.
hearing this car getting closer, I was able to make out the shape of a car coming very fast right at me. The next thing I know, this car slams on its brakes and then drifts into our church parking lot. As soon as the car stops, 4 men jump out of the car and start running in different directions. At the same time, I look back to see a police car speeding down the road towards me as well. 2 of the men got out of the car, ran around to the back of the church, while the other 2 didn't have anywhere to hide. But thankfully, all the doors to the church were locked because they were trying to get in. They tried, but again, they couldn't get in there and hide, and those 2 were quickly arrested.
You're fired.
Fourth grade.
I did not know this
reading
was
level.
that kind of story. Sam.
It's dark. How'd you know, my dude?
Those 2 were
Quickly arrested.
Those 2 were quickly arrested.
There we go.
But since the cops didn't know if the other 2 men had made it inside, they ran off. And they decided to call SWAT to go room by room, searching through our church for them. Within 15 minutes, the entire parking lot was full of police vehicles.
Oh, man.
Thankfully, SWAT searched the entire church, and the other 2 weren't inside, and they were found about a mile away. It turns out that the 4 men had just done a drive-by, and they were fleeing the scene. The scariest part is if we had not decided to randomly go into my youth pastor's house to hang out instead of the church, we all would have been in the church with the doors unlocked, and all the dudes would have come into the church when we were there.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Well,
And they have nothing to lose. Drive-bys like you shoot people, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yikes.
Kind of like the drive-by bat in the face that you saw when you were younger.
The what?
Remember you told that story when you were in like a
Oh,
caravan?
yeah. Bat, like baseball bat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like smashing mailboxes, but faces?
No, and one time I was on my way to like a baseball game,
Uh-huh.
and we were in a van with a bunch of kids, and I look out the window. It looks like there were 2 people arguing next to a house as we're driving by. This guy comes running out behind the house, and runs up behind one of the people and hits him on the head with a baseball bat.
Like, how mad are you that you
Real
run
mad.
away, grab a bat, come back?
This was the
so
third
mad.
person in the argument, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the guy
Not
didn't even know it was
two
coming.
people in the argument. It's like a random third party. Like,
It was
Calvin.
it was a third party that came up
Bang.
and just smoked him in the back of the head. Guy crumpled to the ground, and of course I'm like 12 or 13,
Naturally.
and no one else saw it. I'm like, guys, look out the window. Sure, we just kept driving. I was like, did I just see what I think? I think
Was
someone just
that
got
on the
murdered.
way to a Binghamton Mets game by any chance?
Was it at a Binghamton Mets game?
I was going to say, it sounds like something they would do out in Binghamton.
No,
I love the
it
people.
was like a Little League game I was on my way to.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they were at the youth pastor's house and not the
That
church.
that seems
That's
like
insane.
a nightmare though.
Yeah.
To be in the dark and you just hear a car speeding toward you. Doesn't that sound like a bad movie or something?
Something.
That has to be one of my first
Yeah,
like
something
worst
like that.
fears.
Also, but we're just going to, you need to keep what you said.
What? No. That's
They were
good.
quickly erected.
We're going to have to say it throughout the episode so that...
Like Sam can't, like he'll be reading out another story. It was like they were quickly erected.
I mean, I had a lot of stuff I wanted to say,
But we're Christians.
but I pushed through it
You could say it doesn't even matter.
out of love and respect and honor.
This is a story from Gingerbread, is what the name is.
Is that Pastor Spencer?
No, it's GINJA and then BR the number 3 AD.
Okay.
Gingerbread.
I like this
Anyway.
already.
When I was around 16, I went on a mission trip to Mexico.
Mexico.
On our last day of the trip was our free day, and at the time, I was a huge Indiana Jones fan, and it just so happened that one of the tourist shops was selling bullwhips.
Oh, dip.
Yeah.
That's
Naturally,
just
I had to
dangerous.
buy one.
That's just dangerous.
And as I'm walking around down the street with my new bullwhip, I noticed my best friend was walking in front of me wearing cargo shorts.
No.
A little voice pops into my head
Yep.
saying, bullwhips can't actually hurt you. That's just a piece of corded leather. Well, no better time to test it out than right now.
Absolutely.
So
Smack
I
your
cracked
friend.
my whip and ended up splitting my friend's calf wide open right there as we were walking.
In Mexico.
Needless to say, the whip was confiscated by the leadership.
Oh, weird.
That's crazy.
No kidding.
Wow. See, Yep. That when you said bullwhip, that's exactly where my head went. It's
You
like
knew
this,
someone was going to get
this
whipped with it?
dude or chick, this human being, dude. She's a dude, he's a dude. We're all dudes. Whipped their friend. Blood is everywhere. They're in Mexico.
Hey, Tristan, tell me if this hurts.
I guarantee no warning. Just
Ouch, Charlie. Charlie whipped my calf.
Oh, you whipped me, Charlie, and it's still hurting.
That's great.
You have a terrible friend. Whoever was
I was
whipped,
going to say, like, what kind of friend
that's
does
a
that?
terrible
No, honestly, it
friendship.
sounds like Pastor Cody.
think
let's
he
be
would do
honest.
that? He would hurt someone like that?
He would. Like, Cody's like, hey, I got this new toy. You want to try it out? Here, turn around. Wha-cha! Did it hurt? No?
Yeah.
Oh, why are you bleeding? Idiot.
Actually, Ben got me in the back of the leg with a weed whacker one time. Yeah.
I shot my friend with an airsoft gun right in the neck, and she got bruised. It was really funny.
Ouch.
But
I thought you were
nah,
going to say, like, a BB gun. That would have hurt.
I've also done that.
You.
I
Of
mean,
course
yeah,
you have.
yeah, actually separate
It was
occasions.
a
but-
brother.
There was a
know?
story a long time ago on the podcast. A youth pastor shot a kid with a BB gun. You remember that story, Dustin?
Yes.
See, I feel like that's illegal.
He's like, it was obviously illegal. It was an accident, but the kid was pretending to shoot kids in the youth group and was dry firing his BB gun.
Yeah.
So the youth pastor was like, this is how it feels like to dry fire at people. Sure enough, there was a BB in it and shot the kid in the back or something like that.
Amen.
Got the cops called, all that.
That reminds me of the story of the one when it was Mindy and I. And John, they were fake names, but like Johnny brought a BB gun to teach his friend at youth group how to shoot it.
Didn't
and
he
instead
shoot
of
him or
like
something?
learning how to shoot it, the kid was like, Johnny, shoot me. I want you to shoot
And
me.
he begged him, right?
Yeah, and wouldn't let him off the hook until he finally shot him in the back. And then he goes, I can't believe you shot me.
Yeah, then the kid was mad that he got shot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, these
Yeah.
are crazy stories
Wild.
sent in. This is from Dylan B. Dylan said, One time on a road trip, I had a student poop himself.
Yes.
We were stuck in traffic just a few miles from our destination when one of our guy's students said that he really had to poop. I told him he needed to hold it and that we were just a few miles from where we were going.
Nope.
And that there was nowhere for me to stop because we were literally stuck in traffic. 10 minutes go by and he says, I need someone to give me a bag. I said, you're not pooping in this van. He said, it's coming right now. So he literally pulled down the back of his pants, crapped in this plastic bag, and then used his underpants to wipe.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
The girls flooded to the front seat of the van as he sat alone in the back, ashamed of what he had just done, but relieved. The smell was absolutely horrendous, and when we finally got to our destination, he stepped out of the van last because he was in the back with his head hanging low and this bag of feces and underwear in his hand. Bag of feces. The person who was greeting us there reached out to shake the student's hand, and our student looked at him and was just like, I need a bathroom and a dumpster.
That is so great.
That's got to be like my worst nightmare. That has to be my absolute worst nightmare.
I remember, like, when I served in youth ministry, like, doing the bus rides home, some of these kids that are on the bus, like, they have no, like,
nothing
control over anything.
Fair.
Or, like, any structure in their lives, so...
And this one, they said they were on a trip, so it was even longer.
Yeah, so, like, when this kid's just like, I have to go to the bathroom...
You better stop.
I really feel bad because there were kids like that on the bus, and, like, again, they don't have any structure, so...
I didn't think about that. That's true.
We had a girl in my school, while she was on going to a sports event, she crapped herself on the bus, and, like, you saw it, like, running down her legs. It was terrible. But I think she got, like, scared or, like, or was sick.
Yeah.
So it was, like, explosive diarrhea, but it was just, like...
That's miserable. There was a story on here where the kid peed on a bus.
Yeah.
And then the kid next to it got all on his leg.
Yeah. Ugh.
And he went to the front of the bus and was like, hey, just so you know, like, that kid peed. And the youth pastor's like, wait, how do you know? And then he's like,
it's on
look at my leg.
Check it out, bro.
Oh.
Nasty.
I feel like more bad for the kid. Like, maybe it's because I'm a dad now. I'm just like, the poor child.
This is from Josiah M. Josiah said, my craziest youth ministry story was when I thought playing hide and seek in the church would be fun.
No.
I made the rules clear. No going outside, no going in the sound equipment, etc. The one rule I didn't include, which I've begun including it every time we play hide and seek in the church, was no hiding in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
We had an 8th grader clear out a whole shelf so he could fit himself inside. Thankfully, he survived, and he told me that it wasn't even cold. He thought he was like Han Solo or something.
That's amazing.
You can legit die from that.
Yes.
Like, you can suffocate in there. I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's insane.
Honestly, I would hide there. That would be like my go-to. Okay. I've done it. I have been the youth hiding in the refrigerator. Those industrial-sized fridges have so much room.
How did you not, like, lose oxygen?
I don't know. You just didn't.
Yes, Sam.
Can't you suffocate? Isn't that a thing?
You could.
Okay,
I mean,
that's what I thought.
It's like when you shut the door, it's like vacuum sealed.
Yeah, okay.
Right, but I mean, like, there's still oxygen in there. How long was he in there for? Like, I feel like it has to be, like, hours he was in there to have any form of... Yeah.
Those games can go for a while.
Yeah, but
right, but like the ones at church, like we have, I could easily fit inside one of them with the doors closed and like lay
like
down
in the kitchen on the those are
like
pretty
some
big.
of them are pretty big. Also, like if you've never worked in a restaurant, you know, like have you ever walked inside your walk-in cooler as a restaurant server and just like swore and cried and punched the tomatoes?
Yes,
I've never been a server. So
I used to work at Old Country Buffet as a dishwasher.
Listen, it's a real thing. The walk-in cooler. For restaurants.
That's different though. It's a walk-in, like
right. But I'm just saying, it's a refrigerator. It's a place of safety. It's a safe zone. I get it. I get it. You know what? I support this kid's decision 200%.
Can't say that I do, but okay.
All right, one more story here. This is from Joshua Brown. Joshua said, here's my craziest youth ministry story. Growing up, my dad was a youth pastor, and he would have lock-ins at the church twice a year. So when I became youth pastor, I thought it would be a fun tradition to bring that back.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
That was wrong.
Lock-ins are never fun.
The first lock-in I hosted, the kids wanted to play hide and seek. So I gave them the standard youth group rules. You hide in pairs as guys and then not with girls, obviously, you know, the normal.
Who hides in pairs?
These two sisters that were super shy and quiet decided that they would hide in a crawl space upstairs above the kids' classrooms. Yeah. It was a fine idea, except that for the fact that the girls didn't understand that drywall couldn't support them the same way that wooden planks would. About 5 minutes into hide and seek, the younger sister decides to step off the wooden plank and fall straight through the floor, which just so happens to be the ceiling of one of the main hallways in our building. So they ended up patching it and everything was fine. But fast forward to our second lock-in that year, and they went to go play hide and seek again. I okayed it with the same rules as last time, but I added an important rule, which was do not go upstairs. Well, we all know that one kid that never listens to the rules.
Yes.
He decided that he was going to have the perfect hiding spot and not be found. So he and his partner returned to that literally exact same crawl space. And not long after, we hear the identical crash of a body falling through the drywall, through the ceiling, onto the floor. Exact same spot, exact same situation, 6 months later.
That is incredible.
Lock-ins are not fun.
Yeah, no, they're not.
I've said it before. No more lock-ins.
No more lock-ins.
I feel like it needs to be said.
Let's just not do them anymore. But I mean, that's not really the youth pastor's fault.
No.
No.
That's
it's
just
kids.
funny.
It's funny that it was the same exact spot. Like, same.
That is so ironic, dude.
Yeah.
What are the chances of that?
I'm just picturing. I have to close my eyes to see it, but I just see the beautiful vision of just...
Like, can you imagine, like, the Uncle Harold of their church, like the maintenance man who just finished taping the ceiling?
I would be pissed, man.
Right, he
I would be so mad.
Hey, I know you just finished fixing the ceiling. Can you do it again?
You're never going to believe this.
Yeah. Hey, so funny story. You're going to love it.
Like, I'm literally just thinking of Uncle Harold. Like, he would be like, I'm so...
What's going on, stupid
Uncle Harold,
kids?
you're not saying anything. Well, it's for the Lord.
All right, guys, let's wrap this up. I appreciate every one of you listening to the podcast. I've said it before, but the podcast is growing, and I'm so thankful for that. If you have stories that you want to share with us, ygchronicles@gmail.com. TikTok is where you can watch, like I said, our short little content for everybody, as well as Instagram, YG Chronicles. You can watch the clips there as well. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you in 7 days.
A little bit.